I've told you this before. I'm going to say it again on video. You're my role model. After your engineering, you decided to take a completely different tangent. You decided that you'll go on All India motorcycle tour, and you met with an accident on the Ayodhya highway, right? And today you're working in a hotshot risk management role. So
Yeah.
today is not going to be the typical boring finance conversation. I think we'll spend some time on your decision to start motorcycling, and how did you plan your trip? You knew the results were going to come on 14th.
Yeah, at 8 p.m. I was just
Okay.
holding my phone and like I was so in Ladakh. Once you cross the Nubra Valley, normally people go towards this towards
Pangongs.
Turtuk side. Again, it was a very scary thing that time. Like people used to do it in groups. It was like 12:30, and we were told you never go alone. Let's go to Ladakh, but nobody was ready to come with me. I was just 20 years old, so my parents were not ready to send me to Ladakh alone. In the process, I realized doing something big is much more practical and easier than doing a lot of small things. And I decided to do all 29 states, but nobody goes there. Like that time, nobody used to go there. I was the only rider who was there in months. I remember that when you supported me for going to the trip, and I had this thought of going back. So see, my parents were supportive, but I had to convince them a lot of going back. They were like, "Abhi to you can't." This was bad enough. But then, without getting doing all those childish pranks and all, I nicely spoke to them, and of course, not in one go. First few goes were like uh, I started the topic of the trip, and they were like, start immediately shouting. But you had to deal with all this. Something like other methods kind of were. My bike was still like for some time. My bike was still in near the accident spot at a police station. So one of the idea that was used was कि we'll just sell it off there and अभी यहाँ लाके उसको क्या फायदा है. But I had that I when I go back I want to go in the same bike. I didn't want anything to stop because of this accident, because the
Hmm.
accident was not in my hand. Everything, well, not everything, but that is something I couldn't control, and then I didn't want that to stop it. So what I thought was, so this accident happened on 12 July 2015, and then again the whole treatment and the first like I couldn't ride and all. First 1 year I couldn't drive, I could ride, I couldn't do anything. I had to just literally pick my right hand with my left hand to keep it in some place. So then once I started recovering, I decided that on 12th July 2018, that is the first 12th July that I was kind of in a good position to ride and allowed medically kind of. So matlab, they weren't they were not giving it a big go, but they were like, okay, it's not that risky right now. It's the least risky that it can get. So then
Least risky. Why?
from my point of view, like इससे पहले अगर if I had gone and fallen on
Okay. Health wise.
yeah,
Health
yeah,
wise,
health
you
wise,
you had
yes,
recovered.
yes,
Okay.
yeah. So I was still advised by some in an elderly take caring kind of a way. People were like, you should not ride again and all, even the doctors. But then I spoke to them on a little, like what are the extra risks and all that. So they told me those. We kind of I took an idea of that, and then I decided I want to go. The first 12 July, I was fit enough to ride. I went back to the accident spot where, like, as much as I remember that this was the accident spot because it was night and it was not the time I had enough time to see the place and all that. But based on some tolls and something, I found I zeroed it down to. I did an extra journey towards the other side just to make sure that I don't miss it. But yeah, so
This is after how many years? You said 2 years,
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah, 12 July
So
2015 to 12
you're
July
that crazy
2018.
guy that you meet with an accident at some place.
Yeah.
and then you take a break for 3 years and do hospitalization studies and all of it. And then 3 years, you went to the exactly same spot
Yeah.
to resume your journey in the night time.
No, not in the
Thank
night
God.
time. No, no, not in the
And did
night.
you encounter any dogs this time around?
No, luckily not.
By the way,
So
did the
yeah,
dog survive?
no, the cop told me the next day कि हाँ कुत्ता मरा पड़ा था and all that. I have no clue of. See, I didn't have. I was not in the position to even care about anything other than my body. In the first
Hmm.
this, I do remember having this, and that is why I remember कि I love this so much. I do remember having this thought, अरे यार अभी accident हो गया, now I'll have to stop riding. I'll have to
Hmm.
go to a hospital. So that thought came. That was the not first non-body thing that the thought that came to me. People ask me कि अरे bike का क्या हुआ, इसका क्या हुआ. I'm like, I didn't care about the bike, the saman, everything was just left there. And they put me in the ambulance and we went to a hospital. Because I was like still half conscious. I remember on the way, on every bump, when the ambulance is dumb, and it was like a smaller ambulance or something, not like the proper force one. So when I should jump, I should like wake up with pain and agony and just start shouting. And they're like, "Nee, nee, pause gaye, pause gaye, pause gaye." Then they took me to that hospital. In this, I remember there was this young child in the ICU, because this is a big ICU. It's not a private hospital, so it's like a ward of ICU. There was one child who was crying continuously, and he was disturbing me because I was trying to sleep, kind of, and I just wanted to see who this crying child is, but I could lift my head to see who this guy is, because I was like my body was in trauma for a couple of days, and then I could do all that.
But you tell me about your journey after this. How long did you ride to complete your All India
Huh.
Yatra?
Yeah. So on 12th July 2018, I resumed. I started. I went from the accident spot towards Agra, as if I
Hmm.
was going on the accident day. I reached Agra that night, and then I hit the north and touch Ladakh.
So you went
Did
to Ladakh
Ladakh?
directly.
No, I had this nice this on this was on 12th July, right? So 26th July is Kargil Vijay Divas. So I wanted to
Hmm.
be there at the Kargil War Memorial on that day. Fortunately, able to be there on that day. But this time, because of some militancy activity, it was a little close ceremony, and they let us in only after like some of the VVIPs and all were cleared. Then because these were some of the stories that I'd heard while in the hospital, and I just wanted to maybe we can discuss that some other time. But and then I went towards the like Ladakh and rest of the cold deserts and everything, like Ladakh, Spiti, and all this. And luckily, I didn't have any itinerary, so I could just explore, just go. So since the same thing, 15th of again 15th of August, the Independence Day 2018, I was at the LOC in a village called Thang, which is the northernmost village of India. You can see they show you the LOC. So there it's like one mountain is in India, the mountain behind it is in POK. So it's like it's very remote, and then they've recently started visits there and all. This village was recaptured in 1971. So on
Still
50,
India though.
huh?
One mountain is in India, the other mountain is Indian. It's still India, isn't it?
Yeah, I said, yeah, that's why I said POK. I didn't say Pakistan. I said POK. Yeah.
And so this, how many months did you travel in the north?
Yeah, so after that, I was there in the Ladakh side for around a month. Then in Spiti side for another, say, 20 days at least. And these three places I could just go anywhere. Like same to like I could go to this Thang village, and that was the day of the result, by the way, level 2.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I had to come back, and then I stayed at one place in tent, and then I found my result. Then all this Spiti side go from the other side. At time the roads were not there, and the trail from Manali to Kaza, and I didn't have to worry about reaching anywhere. I didn't have a flight to catch after a few days or something. I just could just pitch a tent anywhere and stay. In fact,
Hmm.
Zanskar was one place, Zanskar Valley, where I could just pitch tent anywhere. You just go to someone's house. It's a very small house. Just ask them, can I pitch a tent outside your house? They're like, yeah, yeah, welcome. They'll offer you food and they'll be like very nice to you. And these places I have never experienced people like this anywhere else.
Hmm.
So so yeah, I'd uh, from there I came down. Then went towards the west. Came down towards Mumbai
Hmm.
से Pune. I came to Pune. We met. Then went towards Hemalkasa, which is near Nagpur, where
Hmm.
Dr. Prakash Amte.
Oh, did you go there? Okay, yeah, I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
you told me. Yes,
yeah,
you told me. Yes, now I remember.
yes. I also met him.
Oh, you did?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
He's
How
running
was the
this project.
experience?
It was really nice. So he's a huge. He's like a. Speaks very little. I think because he's a little older now.
Hmm.
But the that you feel that energy from people like
He's
that.
got the Maxis say about, right?
Yeah, him and his father, both of them.
Hmm.
Yeah. So and he's created all that is there by himself. Like there was absolutely nothing there, and there is a big hospital running there. Of course,
Hmm.
there is support from organizations now, but when he started, he was alone. So yeah, and that area is also a little like I was scared riding there even during the day alone.
Hmm.
People were telling me stories of this. In fact, some
Yeah.
people were telling me good stories, like of next. So I remember I was at a hotel in Chandrapur, and I asked one guy, is it like scary, like कोई नक्सलाइट्स वगैरह आ सकते हैं क्या? So he's like, नहीं नहीं कुछ नहीं. And then like कुछ नहीं, आ भी गए ना, आप टेंशन मत लो, आ भी गए ना, आएंगे आपसे बात करेंगे, अच्छे होते हो. Some people are like
Hmm.
that, and I'm like, I'll be alone with a bike in the middle of the road, and they'll be having AK-47. हाँ नहीं कुछ नहीं, बात करेंगे, जा देंगे, पुलिस को ये करते हैं. Some people had that kind of view, but uh, most of the people had met someone or the other who's from the those activities. So that was a little this, but I didn't. I was scared, but it was all went well for me. Then I entered Telangana from there,
Hmm.
and then came down again towards the east coast. Then touched Kanyakumari, and then via Kerala and Karnataka, came back home. That was
Hmm.
another 18,000 kilometer after the resumption, which was a good thing. The accident also let me drive, travel a little more, because this now the trip became bigger. I had a time in between to save a little more money and all
Hmm.
that. So the whole trip was 270 days, 28,000 kilometers, all 29 states then, and 5 union territory other than Lakshadweep and Andaman.
The trip ended from Kanyakumari back to Karnataka and then Goa.
Goa, yeah, yeah. I remember the date was 9th of December, and yeah, so it ended back in Goa. I just touched, so I'd seen most of South, and then it was a budget trip, right? So I couldn't extend it much into December too.
Hmm. Correct.
So that wouldn't be, especially in the South.
And anyways, you
So
want to be in Goa in December, right? So, okay. So, this is very inspiring, Siddharaj. I mean, just the fact, the sheer determination and the grit that you've displayed to do something like this. I mean, see, a lot of my friends, so motorcycling is kind of a thing these days in India, right? So, a lot of my friends have been touring the country,
hmm,
mostly on groups. Some once in a while, people go solo, but the
hmm,
fact that to experience something like what you experience, and then 2-3 years hospitalization and a lot of other, I'm sure there must have been a lot of mental trauma as well. and then to go back to the same place and complete your ride, that's inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's it, to say the least. I think that uh, because so many times in life, right, we come across obstacles and we come across hurdles, um, but I think then that's what distinguishes the winners from not winners, is just to be able to continue and see the goal. Nice. And then let's talk a little bit about finance now. uh, so you got your first job in risk management in Pune or Mumbai?
Mumbai. So then after coming back from a trip, we were doing the internship. I was doing it with you. So learning all these modeling. We were doing all these tricks, like all these themes where, for example, holding company and all that. And I had interest in finance. Which I learned while that trading account phase, that it is much more real than that is, I think that is kind of what drives me. It is much more real to do something for a finance company, for a stock which is actually listed and everyone can see, than for something which is very vague in some other country and someone else is this. So that was something attractive. And I from there I started looking for things across the whole financial spectrum. I was looking for whatever opportunity, because I wanted to see what is my thing there. And there were other things were also working well. After that, after our this we you told me about this internship opportunity with this startup in Singapore, which we were sitting and doing it in Pune with a
Right.
sister company. Yeah. So and their product was very
Anand's
interesting.
company, right?
Yeah.
He went to Anand's company. Okay.
Yeah. So his company was a different company here. The company there was Sapiat, which was doing they were making products in the finance world, and one of their product was this auto shenanigan detection tool, for which they were doing the technical part, and we were asked to do the financial side, like what could be the tools, how could be what could be the flags, how could you put it into they will do it, but how do you quantify something which is very easily seeable to the human eyes, for example, some at least qualified ones. So we were working on that, and that also like helped me get into the details of like, especially with a negative approach ki, is this guy reporting this wrong. So that was like
so
a
this
good
was about identifying financial shenanigans, right? So fraud
yes,
detection of sorts.
yes, yeah. So
And
they
they
were
were
trying
building a tool. They
to
were building a
automate
tool
it.
for that.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Yeah, they were trying
Wow,
to automate
interesting.
it. We were doing this for the Japanese market because their main operations were there. They had a clientele across the globe, but mainly Japanese market. So we were doing on that. And basically we were researching, and the good part of this was he was not telling us to do something. He was like, show me methods that could be flags or something like that. So we would do something like find a few parameters, vertical and horizontal, this, like for example, take some standard deviation and keep a limit, and like do multiple this on, we will do it in Excel using PDF data forms and all, like financial reports and all, and put the data manually. So that was a little time consuming, but at least while doing it, some ideas used to come, like, okay, this could be tested, if this could be tested with this. So those things were helpful in like my growth of finance.
But
So,
you
and
come from an engineering background, right?
yeah,
And this
totally.
is hardcore accounting work. This is what chartered account. I think CA is a good role for this. How did you pull it off, and did it go well?
Yeah, it was so it was a very small stint, and they were doing it. I don't know. It may be they are product stage now, but they were happy with what we were doing. they were like the CEO. We used to directly talk to the CEO of this startup, and he was an INSEAD graduate and all that, and he was happy with the number because at least you come to know from his this that he's even if he has any issues with something, he's happy that we are doing something and showing it. It's like something new every time. It's not the same thing again. But and on top of this, the best part was now this along with this the other company which we were sitting in here in Pune, which is a sister company, they were there. We were doing the exact opposite. We were they had a startup again in the
don't say exact opposite.
no,
I got it.
sorry.
Yeah, I got it. What
They had
you're
a
saying.
startup. That was a very positive thing that we were trying to raise funding for the startup. So compiling all these VCs and then basically creating a model from, of course, our point of view, which
You were
is
trying to raise money.
Yes.
You're
And
trying
so
to
we were
raise
doing,
money.
we were creating the model and projections and all that we were doing. So they were, so because most of the company was a technical IT. So we were, other than a couple of consultants, we were the only finance people there. Pretty junior, but yeah, they, again, there also, sir was, we were directly talking to sir. And so this was also this. After that, I started, I got an interview from Pune Line Data. So this company, sorry, Mumbai Line Data, yeah. So that was this was a very good company. Like the quality wise, they were very nice. Like all the products, I learned a lot there. It was like
what was the company doing and what was your role there?
So a company is more of you can say KPO. It had the good part of that was okay. So we were under the front office, which only had risk and investment research. Risk department was having multiple roles, but what I was doing was we were managing along with a manager and another person who's like a backup. We were managing the risk reports, the risk numbers for all the for one hedge fund client who was in the United States.
So you were
they
basically
were
doing risk management for a hedge fund,
yes,
right? As a part of this particular KPO unit.
Yes. So the first thing was I was quite like client facing from immediately from like very few like immediately, and they had like I had to like all the output and all the reports and everything went to them via my mail. So if they had any queries or anything else, any ad hoc request or anything, they would ask that to me. And that was a little stressful because it was a big client and these guys are handling so much money, but it was a very good, like a very steep learning opportunity. What I learned there and quickly got a lot of like practical knowledge plus client handling, for example, small behavioral this that we think we have here, but like those perfection this in that few of those. And the team there was pretty good. Everyone was from very good background and had very good knowledge. So we had we had good sessions, we had good discussions, but unfortunately COVID made us like it was a little reduced. I'm not very social when it comes to talking much to people, but being in the office at least helps there. But after I joined, the pandemic started very soon, and a lot of my time went to working from home. But it was
You
still
worked there for how long?
I worked there for I would say one and a half, 1 year, 9 months after the pandemic this ended.
And we can call this as a proper market risk management profile.
Yes. This was completely market. I didn't deal with anything else. In fact, they when the client had actually, for example, they want to have a particular number, and they would ask us for a possible method or something like that. They would take the decisions for themselves, but they kind of consulted us also properly. Although we were more of regularly like a outsource kind of IT, but they did give us proper risk management, risk consultant. We did use a proper risk engine. I was responsible for one more thing. Right out of the class, I was doing whatever we were doing in the class. All the subjects that we, especially in for example, CFA syllabus, risk side, I got
Derivatives.
no derivatives. So, there's only fixed income derivatives, your quant, and I'm not recalling, but all these things, no, I could actually and the concept I could confidently answers to people, my colleague, because the concept we had learned, we were using that, and we were actually, for example, one of our this was they wanted a few type of vars, and so we did actually have the whole big variance covariance matrix var and all that. So we were responsible for giving that number properly to them, especially when the position is new, because there was a bit of automation, but the IT people didn't know anything about what var is. They were just calculating numbers. So we and they would ask us for if in case if there is something. So for my first experience would be in a CFA problem, we would be so this is one difference I would like to say when it comes to work and syllabus. My first thing was getting data out. For example, we were in the books, there were proper curves and everything given, but here only a situation is given, and like analyze and find what's the catch. So then we have to go through the whole thing, or like find the curves by ourselves. And because I didn't have any experience then, I didn't
Did you
know.
have access to any databases?
Yes, I did. I had a dedicated Reuters terminal in my system. There was a Bloomberg terminal which was shared, but they were pretty good. We could check a lot of stuff. Of course, not all clients were. Officially, you couldn't use Bloomberg terminal for all clients because it was only marketed, or like it was only built for some clients. But we would have a very good disk, and if not anything, if we are short on some data, because the client was such a big hedge fund, they would just send data to us. Like it just like they would have 10 of this if it's required, if it reaches there. Normally we would just find it from our data and send it to them. But yes, this was very good, like the data access. This is the first time I was using Reuters and Bloomberg and all these services, and there I learned all these, and then they were useful, yeah. And then basically all these numbers I had to check, and in fact sometimes they were also the issue. They would check our numbers and then check it in one of those terminal, and if they were not matching, they would ask us. And sometimes if their number is wrong, we would have to sit and decode those numbers and explain how their number is not, because they wouldn't go and ask that to the help desk by themselves, because they would trust their numbers more because it's a reputed desk. So these things were, but yeah, it was proper market risk thing. I dealt with all kind of instruments. Again, when you ask me about the proper market risk, I just change the topic to, like, into what we learned. So I had access to almost all kind of asset classes. There were in the portfolio, they had bonds, they had treasuries, they had derivatives, all kind of derivatives. Some of the names I had just learned there. Then yes, like some like knockout be like, and sometimes like some swaps. For example, there was something called interest. I forgot his name also, but it was some kind of swap, which nobody in the team knew what this is. किसी ने तो कहीं तो सुना था एक बार. We had to go and research ki what that is, and then Google. The normal Googling did not get much result. So then with support of some terminal or something or the other, we found what it is, because the working is most important, right? Even if we have to or own the numbers that we are showing, we have to know how it works basically. So so things like that also happened. Then of course equity was there. There were other normal fixed income and all that. It was also across the geographies. So I was very lucky that way. I could get the most exposure in my that client and that role across geographies. So you could see trades. There was a difference. You could see the difference between the trade that is happening early in like early morning in east of the eastern this, like say Singapore, and something that is happening in New York exchange. And if an event happens during the day, like how the wall changes and all that, all these things you could see. And it was very like I found it very hands-on, like without much much worrying. Of course, I had to in the beginning all that new joiner stress and all that was it, but it was a very good steep learning curve for me. Completely this for me. I just like that this. And yeah, that was the first this. I also had a like there was other teams that I was supporting, so I learned a little bit in financial this fixed income insurance client, for example. A big insurance client that we were supporting, like I was supporting someone else as a backup something, and I learned about that too. And how they are working works, reporting to a senior guy who was taking care of a big chunk, a big portfolio. So that was a big deal. And most of the, so that was a little more process oriented, but there also there was learning for me. So yeah, that taught me a lot about the macro view, like how, at least if not how it works, at least how do I pick information, how do I quickly analyze something by picking information from say Bloomberg. So that those were the few things that I learned in that. And yeah, that was most of my this at that company. It was pretty good. Even the this was very good vibe there, people there, bosses there. Our director Shushant was he was very nice to this everyone. He was like that for me, for a like a starter's job in corporate, all with all those images people have. My life there was good, and everyone was supportive. So that was my first this. And then I switched into this company. I joined here as a senior associate.
This
Here,
move you did recently.
yes, it's been almost 6 months now, like 5 6 months. Yeah. Here also it's a we are managing risk for a hedge fund. It's a smaller fund, a smaller company, but that also gives us a very good this of even like more freedom, you can say. You can create new reports and pitch into them. If they like it, they can pick it up. You can create some new methodology of say they're not using as many var numbers as these people, the previous people. So some numbers could be more relevant to them. So you can teach them, and then we can they'll ask us to create a case, and then if that works, it is this. So and again, most of the here it's luckily I've got a little more of a so it was like it's execution also, but there it was just hands-on execution. Everything like something came up, I would, even if I knew something, I would be a little worried and asked, spoke to people and all. Here it's a little like more of process improvement kind of stuff, where I spend a lot of time in we have some daily process for some reportings. Someone or the other will use it. So I spend some time in saving some time, say for example in one of the sub processes or something like that. So, or a lot, I find it good that so we deal with the CRO of the client company, and they kind of treat us as their team. He asked me a lot of like these ad hoc requests and all, which I feel good about, and they are a good challenge, and they make you understand the like everything, the portfolio, the
Hmm.
concept, and the tools like terminal, for example, like port tool in on Bloomberg. Some things in that similar to like I said before, I had to check why the numbers are in a particular way, recreate them on say Excel, and then that I understood both. I understood the Bloomberg. That was a additional skill gain for me, and I we had this our own model. We were not dependent on them anymore. So like things like that were yeah, I mean we do also. So here the it's not just risk, like our team is not just risk team. Like in the previous company it was a risk department, so all of us were risk analysts, risk associates, like associates or senior associates in risk list. But here it's like a joint thing. So there are bigger so it's a bigger department. It's more of a this if something is required to service a client, almost everyone comes for someone who does fund accounting, someone who does all those there's so many things, right? Those quant things, then some
Like full
calculate, no.
bouquet of services, and
Yes,
like
yes.
whatever a hedge fund needs, you would be able to
Yes,
provide
yes,
them.
yes, yes. And they are these big company is pretty big. So they are in all these financial services. They are pretty good in financial services, and they so we so what we can get to do is there not everyone is risk, so we also have an idea. Some people will give you once in a week or something, not once in a week, but once in a while they'll give you an overview of what they do. We will
Hmm.
show them what we do, and then we everyone gets a it's a good learning for everyone. All everything like CLO, collateral as loan, and all. There is a lot of operation things happening also. Whereas there it was like risk was separated, and the other things were came under middle office and something like.
Hmm.
So this is a little different here, but you get to see a little bit of variety, and you get to learn all in about something else also. Yeah, I have not seen the office here. Let's say I'll
Hmm.
be seeing it soon.
Also, it's work from home,
Yeah, till now, yes.
and the office would be in Bangalore.
Bangalore. Yeah.
Okay. Generally, CFA candidates,
Hmm.
everyone is interested in equity research, fund management,
Hmm.
maybe once in a while investment banking or corporate finance. Uh, you chose, or maybe you got into the risk management world.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, how do you think? Because generally, when people come to us and they say, I want to work in risk management, we say FRM might be a better choice for you because that's a dedicated risk management course.
Hmm. Hmm.
But how do you think CFA, the knowledge that you get in CFA certification, does it
Hmm.
help
Hmm.
in the risk management function as well,
Yeah, yeah.
especially in
So
market risk?
yes, yes, completely. I would say so. The concept at the conceptual level, your knowledge of what you get into in CFA while going to like while giving your CFA exams is pretty good for the best part of finance is it's not like computer science, right? It doesn't change every few days.
Hmm.
So your concepts are kind of
At least
similar.
not as of now.
Uh, but it's not like a new technology comes every 3 months.
Hmm.
So what happens is based on that strongness of your, because how we learn to clear the CFA exam is we don't rectify it, right? We understand everything. So that helps us a lot for our risk profile, because if there is something, especially query from the client, we can understand this much better than
Hmm.
someone who's not having a CFA understand or a good understanding of the concept basically. Other than that, I would say the difference that you don't know much about is like some norms, I would say the difference.
Solvency or Basel norms or those
Basal
type of
norms or
norms.
something like, yeah, it's kind of, yeah. So those FRMs candidates are much
Yes.
better, but depends on what you get. Then it is more of a regulatory risk thing. Then of
Hmm.
course it's there in market risk too, but yeah, depends on
But
what you get.
overall, you're saying even CFA equips you well to work in
Hmm.
risk management roles, especially market risk, is what you're saying.
Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, it gives you good enough conceptual knowledge that you can handle anything that is asked like of you in the role. All my finance knowledge is because of this exam.
Hmm.
Before this, I was a computer engineer. Of course, that also helps me. In fact, I would like to say this. If you are in the computer, if you are from the engineering science background, I would say, rather than engineering, even people have done BSc, MSc in some subjects. If and you have that bent, because we learn it in a particular way. We science people have this particular. So if many science people, the risk as a career would be much more satisfying than say even your equity research, because that is very subjective compared to risk. You solve an issue and you can quickly get some numbers and some this, you are happy for the night.
Hmm.
If you make a good call in some stock, you'll come to know at minimum 3 months for you to make sure that the call is good. This is just a broad thought that I have. In fact, that is what is a very good thing for me. It's very satisfying that I am actually doing stuff which I learned in very recently, and I'm things are changing. When your actions, like some calculations that you do, will be determining what particular I don't know, but some ratios and some numbers in a particular fund, some trades even. So that even it is satisfying. Plus it is pressure creating, that you have to do it properly.
Hmm.
So yeah, those two sides are there. I don't know how, but I have normally not been bored of work. People usually get bored at work. I've never
Because
not
what I
been.
hear, Siddharaj, from people is a lot of risk management roles are automated,
Yeah,
machine driven.
yeah,
So 70-80% work is done by machine. So therefore, there's not much left to do. And a lot of these roles end up being reporting type of roles.
yeah. There are a lot of reporting roles in India. Here, because most of the cost is saved there, right? Why
Hmm.
would they pay someone at their level in US? It will be much cost saving here. But yeah, and they are right also about the automation. And it is like the best part is, so for example, I've done when you have automated client, you can feel bored. In fact, you actually feel like, what else is there for me to learn in this client? That is one
Hmm.
of the feelings that I have had for the previous this. Ki, yes, I've पूरा उसको रगड़ लिया है, like what else can I do? So that is there. But for example, something like you automating a process is a very
Hmm.
fun experience. If a process, if there is a fund and there are there's just data, and you turned it into something interesting with just one person's help, who just sees for a couple of hours the
Hmm.
whole process, that process, turning it there is fun. So
Hmm.
when you go do something like that in that this, initially it will be little less, because you'll be executing. But when you reach there, I think it's fun there.
It's interesting. And what's the future plan now? Level three?
Yeah, that was there.
Can
I
I?
missed. What the hey? This I missed this, because of COVID. Also, I missed some attempts.
You gave up on one attempt because you were traveling.
Yes, immediately yes.
Then
20,
after that, COVID.
yeah, COVID
So
2020. I had registered for the 2020 attempt. In the beginning, I was very happy that it got postponed
hmm.
because I just joined a new company and not opened any books or anything. But then it got postponed for too many times, and then I didn't register now for the August one
You haven't.
because no, I didn't. Like the last one, which also no, sorry, the November one, I didn't register for that. Probably do it now. Let's see.
Okay. All right. Interesting. And any upcoming rides coming in?
So now the thing, let's see from Bangalore, something from Bangalore. I'd like been done some small ones now. It's become I wouldn't say like boring, but it is like how the road from your house
House
to
to
your work.
office.
So some of the not that much, but some of the roads have, especially going out of Goa, there are only three big roads. Some of the roads have become like that. Ki, "Arey, abhi to itna hai." And then if you go beyond a certain distance, it's again time, office, leaves, and all that. So I don't know. Maybe a way out is a big thing. I don't know when I'll be able to do it, but a big trip is usually, it hits the different level. Even a 15-day trip is not this. It's a I don't know. It's not just travel places, people. It's just something here also, a bigger one. So I hope I get to do one like that
I'm
soon.
sure you will. Good. Any final message you have for the CFA candidates? You yourself won very soon, but anyone who's probably starting out with CFA level 1
Hmm.
or level 2, any
Hmm.
advice for those guys?
CFA level one. So mostly people, I've spoken to a few people who usually are who are interested in getting into like getting into level one or something like that. I usually find many of them are because I remember this. There was this relative of mine whom I asked. He was supposed to join some good MBA college. So I asked him, "What are you going to do? You're going to do finance or marketing?" So he's like, "Nee, let's see." And he was literally talking in terms of subject, which subject to take. I have to only decide next year which subject is better. Marks किसमें पढ़ते हैं उस पे decide. I'm like, how are you deciding it as a subject? Your life, like what you're going to do physically, is going to be so different if you go in either. So I just think people should take it on that this ki, why is this exam there and what we are planning to achieve out of it. Not just इतने तारीख को एग्जाम है इतना सब करना है and we'll come out of it. So because even if you do well on that day and then you forget everything, it's not very useful, right? Because I was doing it very quickly, and that retention and everything was there. And then again, level two was also immediate. So because I was remembering stuff, and it was very useful for me for the interviews, for everything. So yeah, that's there. That was one thing, and I can't think of anything right now. But it's not like people think it's late and all. I myself did it pretty late. Like I was traveling, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was like, okay, let's do it. So if people can even do it even maybe even 30s. That is not a I'm quite sure people will be able to clear it.
We have a lot of guys who are in their 50s now. I think we've one guy from Belgium. I think he's in his 60s. So yeah, I completely agree. There's no bad time to learn as
Hmm.
long as you're willing to learn and you have the right reasons to do it.
And purely on a superficial list, no, from the market point of view, there is a lot of demand for CFAs. If you are having two thoughts of whether it is worth it, is completely worth it. I have felt this during my recent switching everywhere, and the respect that you get, the of course the knowledge that you get, and the like exposure, and it's much better. I would better than what I'm not saying, but it's good. It's very good. So you should, if you are just thinking and not sure about it, no, you should do it, and you should do it now as soon as possible, so that you are in the market at the right time and you can get the benefits out of it. I know my this finance career is based on that exam. Even if I knew much more than what I know today, without the exam, I wouldn't have got I might have gotten a job, but not like they wouldn't have taken me so seriously.
All right. Fantastic, Siddharaj. Thank you very much. I
So,
appreciate you being candid and sharing the whole story with us. I'm sure a lot of people are going to find this inspiring and interesting at the same time. So
thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thanking you for calling me here. Yeah, one more thing I want to tell everyone. Just in your career, right? In life, actually, guys should uh, find a mentor, find a guide, find a mentor. Your like half of your problems will be solved just by talking to them. I was lucky to find sir. And then a lot of things I've spoken, we have discussed a lot of things, and he has a very good this about everything. I'm not saying go and ask everything to sir, but but
You're my
if you
motorcycling
do,
mentor as well, Siddharaj.
uh,
So it's you're my motorcycling mentor.
oh,
You know
motorcycling,
how
okay,
I
cool.
make my purchase decisions, so it works both
Yeah,
ways.
that's it. Yeah, I feel proud of being all like being able to tell you a few things on that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.